Pedri v Jude Bellingham, two 22-year-old superstars, and a debate that has been ongoing for years since they were teenagers. So today we're going to settle the debate in the boxing ring with 12 rounds, rating them on their attributes from passing, shooting, dribbling, IQ, big games, everything. You guys seem to love it last time, or to clarify, 99% of you loved it last time when I did Caicedo v Rice, so hopefully you guys enjoyed this one as well. I'm letting you know from now, if you're here for agendas or rage bait or whatever, you're not going to get that, because I love both of these players. I think they're both fantastic, so we're going to try and be as fair and as unbiased as possible to try and get the correct outcome. But enough yapping, let's get ready to rumble. Round 1, passing. I think this one is pretty straightforward. Obviously, Pedri is the better passer. When we talk about best midfielders of all time, you know, your Iniestas and Zidanes and Xavis and whatnot, Modric even if you want to add him, normally passing is probably the #1 attribute you look at. Now, I'm not ranking these in order, I'm just going to give you 12 attributes, but I'd argue Pedri's biggest strength is his passing, be it short passing, long passing. He's got the intricate through balls as well that you're thinking, rah, how on earth did my man find that angle? That's not to say that Jude is horrible at passing, by the way, because again, I know Barca fans, Madrid fans, they start arguing Pedri's this, Jude Bellingham, or whatever. Jude's actually got quite good passing as well. I think specifically back to that assist he had for Lewis Skelly for England, but nobody really talks about it because he's not a small technical baller. Round 2, we have shooting, and spoiler alert, I think it's no secret, we are of course going to give this one to Jude. Again, listen, Pedri, last season, he finally started hitting them shots nicely. There was one goal he scored against Madrid actually, where he kind of got the ball in the edge of the box and just whipped it top corner. But for the last couple seasons, listen, Jude's numbers, they speak for themselves. I also want to clarify again, I'm not here to read out an Excel spreadsheet to you guys of everyone's numbers on SofaScore or FlashScore or whatever. I'm just using my opinion, so if you disagree with me, by all means. I don't care about their XNPG or any of that stuff. I'm just using my eyes and I'm telling you, Bellingham is a better shooter. Inside the box, even outside the box, he scored a couple bangers against Barca themselves. Obviously, shooting is not the #1 priority for midfielders, and again, because I know there's going to be a lot of arguments in the comments about why Pedri and Jude. It's an argument that's been going on for years. I know Jude recently plays obviously further forward. He's more of like a 10 if you will. He plays behind the strikers. But as you'll see from these attributes as well, I've weighted them accordingly so that they're both kind of playing their natural position, which is centre mid. So round 3, we have first touch. Both of them, I think, pretty fantastic at this. But you got to give it to Pedri. Sometimes he makes them kind of touches where the whole stadium kind of just go silent. You're like, rah, did my man just do that? Sometimes this guy will pluck the ball out of a sky. Sometimes this guy will pluck the ball out of a sky like Isaac Newton getting the apple on his head back in 1666, for those of us who remember. Except Pedri knows exactly what he's doing and he's not confused about what happened to gravity. If anything, Pedri is defying gravity to make some of these touches. It's also important to note that your first touch is not just how smooth it is, but how many angles it opens up. And Pedri's the kind of guy that with one touch, he'll send that 3-man out the game. Round 4, we have dribbling. Now this one is more of like an umbrella term. It can encompass multiple things. Obviously you got close control, beating guys, press resistance, but you've also got strength in there as well to kind of shield guys off the ball. So when we talk about Jude, he's more of the guy that can just ride challenges. He's somewhat underrated, like in and around the box, going past 1 or 2 people, and obviously is a lot stronger than Pedri. But that being said, again, Pedri can beat 2-3 man with minimal touches and you won't even notice what he's done. Neither of them really bang out step overs and elasticos and whatnot, so I wouldn't say they're the most skillful dribblers, but they're both effective, and I think I just about edged this round towards Pedri. Round 5, ball carrying. So this one is more of like a how much ground can you cover driving with the ball. So in this regard, this is why I say, although Jude plays as more of like an advanced midfielder, I see this guy pick the ball up from the defenders and just start driving 30, 40, 50 yards. And when he's batting guys away like they're mosquitoes, he's pretty hard to stop. So it's only fair that I give this round to Bellingham. Again, it's not to say that Pedri's terrible at ball carrying, it's just not his main strength. But that being said, at the same time, in the modern game, especially the last 5-10 years, I'd argue that ball carrying is now becoming almost a necessity for midfielders. Because with how well structured most teams are now, or at least most top teams are nowadays, you need someone that can just break the mold completely, break lines, not even with passes, just by running through. Look at like a Morgan Rogers, for example. He may not be the most skillful baller ever, but if he leaves Aston Villa, the price tag is going to be high because he has that kind of Yaya Toure-esque ability to just steamroll through teams. So yeah, Bellingham takes round 5, and round 6 is creativity. As I specified earlier, neither of them are like super skillful. They're doing rainbow flicks and elasticos like Magical Gonzalez. And again, people might get angry at this one because they're going to bring me their stat sheets of, what's it, F-Breath or whatever they call that website. So I'm going to say from now, I know Bellingham has more assists, I get it, but Pedri is the more creative player. I think that shouldn't really be much of a debate, despite what the numbers tell us. This is why it's always important to watch the sport with our eyes and not just numbers. Not only does Bellingham play a bit further forward than Pedri, but so many Barca attacks start from Pedri, or he might play a dink ball over the top and then someone cuts it back for a goal. So he's kind of getting the pre-assist, if you will. And I know people don't really register pre-assist. No one cares because, look, you can get a pre-assist from 1 yard, 2 yards. But genuinely, watch Barca, and I'd argue a high percentage of their goals are Pedri pre-assists. Whether that's finding Yamal with an outside the foot pass or clipping it to Rafinha, to Lewa. Pedri is a magician and he has to take this round. Round 7 is defending, which means Bellingham pulls one back to make it 4-3 Pedri. This is why I had to clarify earlier about Jude playing further forward, because still, regardless, when Madrid are playing kind of meaty, I see him tracking back all the way to win the ball and start driving forward. He puts in those tackles. I see him making last minute blocks. And obviously with his longer legs, he's going to be a bit more adept at the interceptions. But again, Pedri is pretty good at interceptions too. He's more of like a reading where to be at the right time. Something that we'll get onto later. But pure defending, if I for whatever reason had to have these both in my pivot, I'd probably go with him because additionally, not that it's super important, but he is much quicker. And as aforementioned, speed, strength, power, whatever is a very important facet of the game nowadays. If you're getting hit on the counters, I'd rather have Jude back there for me than I would Pedri. Round 8 is positioning. This can be offensive, defensive, whatever you want. At this point, I believe Bellingham equalizes. Let me explain to you why. We know Pedri's role. He's going to be in the midfield, keeping it ticking, playing the dink balls over the top. And when Barca are on the back foot, especially with their high line, his role is to try and cut out them passing lanes before it starts causing trouble behind him. However, Jude is pretty much a definition of right place, right time. Like I said, defensively, last minute blocks when Madrid are on their knees begging for mercy, he'll be there to somehow get his long leg in the way. In the box, when they're losing, when they're level, when they need a goal, 90th minute, guess who pops up like the Dark Invader, Mr. Inevitable, to score? Jude Bellingham again. The guy just knows what position to be in at any time. He's someone that when his team needs him, he'll show for the ball in the right angles. He knows when to sniff out danger. And he just has that knack, that striker's instinct, if you will, for knowing where the ball's going to drop in and around the box to go and bag. So we've done the on-the-ball attributes. We've done a few mental ones. One physical attribute that's really important, especially in the modern game, is round 9, stamina. There is no point in having all these things and then you can do it for like 5 minutes a game, 20 minutes a game. And I want to give them both credit for this one because again, let's remember, these are just both 22-year-old kids pretty much. And yet they've kind of carried both their clubs on their back for a couple years now. I'm not saying, you know, they've had bums around them or anything like that, but they have both kind of been the heartbeat of the team in the last 2 years. With regards to Pedri, obviously he had that 1 year a few years ago where he was the meme, where they were saying this guy just needs a rest, bro, because he's played like 75 games in a row. They're sending my man to under 19 Euros, under 20 World Cup, under 21 this, the main Euros this, and naturally he just kept on getting injured. But this year he finally solidified it, and we're getting to see the best possible version of Pedri. Jude Bellingham on the other hand, I don't know if it's going to be controversial or not, because again, the last time I did this, for some reason, it was a controversial take when I said that Declan Rice's stamina for going back and forth 95 minutes is more impressive than just being the 6 or staying in one position and being incredible there. I am going to be going Jude for this round. Barring any shoulder injuries, this guy pretty much plays week in, week out, no matter what. And again, as I said earlier with regards to the goals and whatnot, as you can see, I didn't even put goals and assists as a criteria, although I do think it's becoming more and more important for midfielders nowadays. For him to be covering that much ground every single game, and again, not just for the first 20 minutes or first half an hour, he's doing this in added time. You're seeing him making them lung-busting runs. So just like when I said Declan Rice slightly edges Caicedo for stamina because of just the sheer amount of ground he's covering in that midfield by himself, I've got to say the same for Jude Bellingham and Pedri. Think about how high the line is that Barca play defensively, and then obviously we've got the forwards over there too. Pedri's done really well to complete as many games as he has this year. But Jude, from the moment he burst onto the scene at Birmingham, at Dortmund, the first couple years at Madrid, he is there time and time again. So round 9 goes to Jude Bellingham. Round 10 is super important. This one is how you combine a lot of the things together with your football IQ. So we're talking decision making, we're talking awareness, understanding of the game tactically, and just how you adapt to different surroundings. And I think for this round, I am going to be going with Pedri. It's a tricky one because I think both of these players, again, I keep on repeating, I'm not a hater of one player or the other one, one team or the other one. My only agenda in life is against Suarez. If you see me not propping Suarez, I hold my hands up. I don't like that guy. But anyone else, I try to keep this channel fair and objective. Jude Bellingham dwarfs Pedri in all the physical attributes, like, you know, strength, speed, power, whatever it may be. So when you don't have those things, you rely more on the brain. There's a clip, I think, from Chelsea with Fabregas, I want to say 2017-ish, where he's racing, again, sorry, it's an old clip, so someone can tell me in the comments what I'm talking about. You'll know if you're a Chelsea fan. And I think he's racing Willian in like a cone collecting game. Willian, obviously back then, rapid. Fabregas has never been the quickest in the world. But Fabregas collected all the cones quicker than him because why? Reading of the game. Making the right choices, what direction to go in at each time to be the most efficient possible. You rarely see Pedri go for a pass that doesn't make sense. And again, awareness of his surroundings. He knows when he's being pressed. He knows when to release it. Even the general game state. He knows that, alright, cool. We're kind of on the back foot now. Let's slow the game down a little bit. Or, alright, it's time to provide a bit more urgency. Let's push forward more. That being said, we have to give credit to Jude Bellingham as well because his IQ is still remarkable. Tactically, bear in mind, this is someone who I love the mental aspect of the game from him. Because think about for England, right? This guy, what, 2-3 years ago, we knew him as just a centre mid. Just like Pedri, he's just an 8, right? He's not a 10, he's not a 6, just an 8. Then he went to Madrid and started playing further forward and bagging goals like crazy. They tried it for England, but they were like, no, we want Foden to play there. So they changed the whole team to be built around Philip Walter Foden. They had Bellingham on the left wing doing shifts like Blaise Matuidi. Did he complain? No. Did he still perform better than most England players? Yes. So we have to respect his tactical flexibility and as well the mental fortitude to not complain, not moan when things are going wrong. But I think we got to just give this one to Pedri. Round 11, we go big games. In my opinion, very important because again, I want to see all these attributes when you're playing in the biggest games when the light shine brightest. I don't want to see it against Eibar and Las Palmas and Valladolid. Pedri has really stepped it up in big games, but in this kind of conversation, it can only go one way. Let's be honest, it is Jude Bellingham. When the light shine brightest, hey, he loves it the most. Think back to the previous season where he scored the classical winner, home and away. And you're seeing my man doing this. You think of countless games where you're like, you know what? Madrid need a goal here. It's a big game. Champions League, La Liga. You know my man's going to pull up with his arms out. They almost got embarrassed and nearly got eliminated from the Champions League group stages or group league playoffs, whatever you want to call it, until my man pulled up with his celebration at the Etihad. So yeah, listen, although head-to-head, Barca have got the better of Madrid definitely last season, overall, in general, I think I give it to Jude. Because listen, even for England, when they were on the verge of elimination, what does my man do? Scores a bicycle kick in the Euros and then says, yeah, who else but me? So Jude takes the lead at the death with one final round, round 12, consistency. I don't want a man that can play and do all these things combined for 1 week and then we don't see him again till match week 7 and then match week 15 and then he goes and he's meaty for a while. He might be alright internationally. I want to see minimum 7 out of 10s week in, week out. And that's what makes this finale very difficult because especially this season, both of these players have given me incredible levels of consistency. When making my Team of the Week videos that you've been seeing on TikTok from week 1 all the way to 38, I believe Caicedo and Pedri were the 2 midfielders that got in the most the entire season. However, we also have to factor in that, of course, Barca were far better than Madrid this season. Pedri had a massive part to play in that, but in regards to Real Madrid and Jude Bellingham, Madrid, look, a much poorer season by their standards, but I think none of that blame should go towards Jude because for me, people might find it controversial again. I don't know. The first half of the season, I felt like he was playing better than he was last year. But because the numbers merchants were saying, oh, hold on a minute. Jude ain't scored a goal. What's happening? He's not scoring 15, 20 goals this season. He must be bad. That's not how to view football. If anything, Jude was the only one driving that team forward. Even when, in my opinion, I think he should have won the Ballon d'Or the previous year, the one that Rodri won. They started pushing Vinny. They started pushing Carvajal for whatever reason. Jude didn't go and start crying. He didn't start moaning. They dropped him for no reason whatsoever and started pushing these other players. Vinny went on a strop for the next 6 months. The whole club just seemed mad salty about it. But Jude was still driving them forward, saying, listen, guys, like, it's happened. It is what it is. Move on. So yeah, he may not have been getting all the goals, but I think consistency, he's delivered that. And if we factor in again the whole thing, he's been doing this for 4 years now. At the same time, do you really ever see Pedri drop below 7 out of 10s? It's tough, it's tough, it's tough. I think you guys are going to hate me for this, but I promise this wasn't intentional. But with Jude 6-5 up and consistency being the final round, I'm going to give it to Pedri. It is 6-6. It's another draw. And I promise you, it wasn't on purpose. I know I've made the jokes about how Pedri and Jude together just enjoy him. They're holding up the blue and red scarves like the Bloods and the Crips. But this is just generally how it's turned out. Maybe you guys would use different attributes to judge guys. Like, I don't know. If I put more physical attributes, Jude would have won. If I start doing more stuff about silkiness on the ball, Pedri may have won. But I don't know about you guys. I think this is a pretty fair outcome. If you're building your team around one of these players, I understand if you pick Pedri. I understand if you pick Jude because he's got the more physical and the mental attributes. So I'll let you guys decide. Maybe one final round and then you guys let me know who wins. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Let me know more comparisons you want to see. It can be current players, former players. So long as you man keep subscribing, I'll be here still uploading daily until we one day get that 100k plaque. We're on 28k now. By the end of the season, I got big dreams for that 100k. It may not happen and I end up on like 30 or 32, but I'm crazy. I trust you guys to make it happen. Let's get 500 likes. I forgot to mention as well, send me your hot takes on Instagram. It can be about past footballers, the upcoming season, and I'll try and react to as many of them as possible in tomorrow's video. Have a great week. In a bit. Bosh.